Hi everyone, Janie here. Welcome back to my garden and welcome to my very first garden tour of 2023. So this is my January front garden tour. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that every month in 2022, I did a front garden tour and a back garden tour, and I absolutely loved it. It was worth all the time that I put into these garden tours. Really, it wasn't that much time, but just to have the ability to look back on any month and see what my garden looked like was priceless. It was so wonderful to have those videos and each month to be able to look back and say, okay, I did that this month and I did that this month and I did that. I did a lot in the garden this month. It was, it was so helpful and so useful for me. And that's why I always say, do the same thing. Even if it's just coming out into your garden and just taking a quick snap, taking a quick picture, it's worth it, because then you can look back 6 months later, you can look back and you can say, oh, that's what my garden looked like in January. And now look at how beautiful it looks, and it's just it's your garden changes over the seasons. Your garden changes every month. And it's so wonderful to have that captured on camera, on video, whatever it is that you're doing, just to have that captured and to be able to look back. So let's get started today with my front garden tour. It has been raining here in Northern California for pretty much half of January. So I'm actually pretty impressed what I was able to get done in the short amount of time. It stopped raining about a week and a half ago, and I feel like we've gotten a ton accomplished. Jason was home for a week. My husband was home for a week on vacation, and we basically worked outside every day on his vacation. I know that doesn't sound like much of a vacation, but it was fun. It was nice to spend time together and, and to work on the house. It was kind of a staycation. So I feel like I got a lot of stuff done. I'm starting to see life in my garden, and I can't wait to show you all. So let's go. All right, so we will start over here. This is the east side of my house. You can see there's my cottage garden and there's my oak tree garden bed. I have to be honest, I haven't really done much in my oak tree garden bed, but I did mess with my cottage garden. And then right here, this is my Eden rose arch. And just the other day I did a garden cleanup and I came out and I pruned this whole thing, and it looks, it's so hard to prune roses, you guys. I have such a hard time with it and taking off all the leaves. I'm glad I did it because I think that it's definitely what it needed. I do need to straighten up this arch. This arch and this tour ended up coming this way because of all the rains that we had. I think everything's just kind of sliding down this little hill we have right here. But you can see I pretty significantly cut back these Eden climbing roses. I planted these Edens last November, so not November 2021, right? And they're doing beautifully. I got them from Heirloom Roses. They're absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait for them this year because they're basically almost up at the top. I'm pretty sure they'll reach the top this year. So really excited about that and happy that I got around to pruning. Here in Zone 9B, January is our pruning month because about February is when all the roses will break dormancy. You'll see that I have an iceberg rose over there that I've pruned, but I haven't defoliated yet, so I have to go and do that. And then I did purchase one other rose. It hasn't come yet. I don't think it's actually going to come till March or April, but that will be the third variety of roses I have in my garden. But my plan is to definitely add some more roses because I love them and they're so beautiful. I was always a little intimidated about roses being a new gardener, but I kind of feel now I just feel a little bit more comfortable with it. So I'm excited to get some more roses in my garden. So, and then coming this way, like I said, this tutor is from Kinsman Supply Company. So same with this arch right here. I got this off of Amazon, so I'll link it in my Amazon store in case you guys are interested in it. This one I got right off of the Kinsman website. I couldn't find this one on the Amazon store. So for here, we had a plumbago bush shrub, and it was just too big for the area. It was just absolutely way too big, and I know a lot of people will be upset. Jason and I ended up taking it out in our garden cleanup day, and it was kind of just like a spur of the moment thing. It just wasn't the right plant for the right spot. I love plumbago. I think it is so beautiful and it does so wonderfully here, but I do have 5 of them growing up against the fence over there. So I figure I'm gonna find something else to grow up this tutor, something a little bit smaller, a little bit more controlled, and then I will have all this space right here to plant other things, which I'm really excited about. It's kind of like my Oklahoma redbud tree. I had a vertigo pennisetum there before, and it was a gorgeous plant. The pennisetum was absolutely beautiful, but it was just so massive. It took up so much of the square footage I have, and I do not have a lot of square footage in my garden. It just, it just wasn't the best thing for that spot. Nothing wrong with the plant at all. It's just if I had a garden that was twice as big, then I would have left it because I would have had more space. So instead, I have my Oklahoma redbud, which you barely can see because it's basically all twigs right now. It's just this thing right here. And now I have all this space under here that I can plant. So let me continue with the cottage garden bed, and then I'll get over to that area. So right here, I have a mix of a whole bunch of different type of alliums. Really excited about these. They just popped up. Now, I don't understand what's happening here because I'm pretty sure I planted alliums in this spot right here, but they are not coming up. They are growing like crazy all around here, but all of these aren't coming up. So I'm not sure what's going on. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, the alliums should be growing pretty soon. This is a Nicotiana that I think is really pretty. I don't love it. It doesn't do very well. Now, things are going to be changing here. This birch tree, sadly enough, and that birch tree on the other side of the fence, they are coming out, and they're coming out any day now. We had an arborist. It was an ISA certified arborist, and I just learned in my Master Gardener's course that you only want to hire arborists that are ISA certified. That was like, they were like, oh yes, of course, only because, so the ISA certification, I hope I'm saying that right, that is how you know that your arborist really knows its stuff and is not going to mess up this tree. So this poor thing right here, we had another tree guy come out and he basically killed the tree. He, it wasn't doing great anyway, so I can't totally blame it on him, but I guess he topped the tree, and when you top a birch tree, that causes them to start dying. So that's what he did with this one. So this one we're going to have to take out, unfortunately. So it's a big bummer. I'm really sad about it because I love this birch tree structure right here. I think it's so beautiful, but basically any day now it will be coming out because we've had all these crazy rains. We've had a ton of trees fall over in my area. So all the tree people are super behind schedule. And so basically I got put to the end of the line because this obviously isn't an emergency tree removal. And I completely understand that. So I really don't know when they're going to come out, but they are going to come out. They're so sweet. They're really professional. They're communicating with me and saying, okay, you're on the list. You're on the list. We haven't forgot about you, which I really appreciate. And I really do understand that they have other more important things that they have to address first. So I absolutely get that. But yeah, that will be coming out. I just noticed, just as I was talking here, look at my bees. No, just one of them is full. Yeah. So this is my bee house. I put this in last winter, and I did it mainly for mason bees, and only one is full right now. So I don't know. I'm not totally sure what I'm doing wrong. I don't know if I don't have enough clay for them to make their homes or anything like that. But I think I'm going to get more mason bees this year and put out some mason bees. I'll link my mason bee video in the description down below, but that's my little tiny mason bee house that I'm trying to work on. So mason bees are these fantastic little bees that do the same amount of work, the same amount of pollinating work, like one mason bee does the same amount of work as 10,000 regular honeybees. So it's really great to have mason bees in your garden. And so this was specifically put up for some mason bees. And I actually got some mason bees last year, some mason bee little eggs, but they didn't stick around for some reason. So I have to keep figuring that out. So anyways, that's my mason bee house. All right. And then continuing along my cottage garden bed, here you can see my Semfall spirea. I have to come and cut that back, and it's already budding budding up. So I have to get out here and I have to cut this back for sure. I love this shrub right here. This shrub was inspired by Steph from Hooked and Rooted. I will link her channel down below, but she has a gorgeous one in her garden. And this one does spread. So you guys have, it has runners. So you guys have to be aware of that if you're going to put that in. But I just really, really love the structure. It looks kind of like a Japanese maple, and we can have Japanese maples here, but not totally, because sometimes they'll scorch with the heat, and this one will be able to handle it. I think it's a zone 2 through 11, so pretty much it's good for everybody. So then down this way, I planted a whole bunch of Elegance mixed sweet peas, and one of the things that I have to do, oh my god, my handprints are still there. So when I was planting these, it was very muddy and I kept falling over and touching the fence. I love my handprints. I thought when it was wet, it looked like they had rain, you know, they had all washed off, but now that it's dry, I can see that they're still there. So I have to come out here and I have to clean that. So anyways, I have my sweet peas there that I'm going to grow up, and I'm going to put some wire on the fence so that they can start growing up the fence. And I think that will be really, really pretty. And then down here, you can see my peonies. Look at them. They're coming. What is this one? Oh my God, my sign is totally... Can anybody read that? Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple. So this is my Shirley Temple peony. Let's see if I can find another one. I have a couple more here, and then this is the newest one that I just planted. This is from my neighbor's. This was my neighbor's mother who passed away, unfortunately. It's a giant, giant peony. And I think it is an Ito peony called Bartzella. It's this gorgeous yellow color. I'll put a picture up right now. But it's doing really well, you guys. I'm really happy with it. So I didn't plant it very well. I planted it in the mud. You know, I kind of stressed it out. So if it doesn't bloom this year, I'm going to be, I'm going to be okay with that. But I'm glad that I at least got it in the ground so it can start growing. And then I have, we have our fairy garden right here. And this is actually what we're working on later today. The girls and I are going to go to the plant store and we're going to get a whole bunch of spring annuals. It's not spring yet, but cool season annuals, I should say. And we're just going to kind of work on this whole area. So stay tuned for that video. That video should be coming out in a couple days. All right. And then here is my oak tree garden bed. It's looking very natural with lots of leaves. So this is one of the things that we have to address. We have to come out here and get all these leaves kind of cleaned up. Not all of them, I'll leave some of them in. I do want this whole garden bed to look kind of naturalistic. You can see my plumbago is growing up the wires back there. They're doing well, but of course, you know, it's winter, so they're cold. I do have to come back and cut back all my buddleia, so that's something that's on my list I have to do. But one of the things I wanted to say that I learned in Master Gardeners, you guys are probably going to hear me say that a lot, but see all these strappy leaves that are kind of like lilies, or yeah, lilies is what I'm trying to say. So in the summer, I have these naked lady amaryllis that come up. I'll try and find a picture and put it on here, but they're so beautiful. And then, you know, they just go away. And then in the winter, these leaves come up and I'm kind of like, well, what is this plant? I have no idea what it is. And I've actually taken a lot of these out. I had these kind of all over and I've taken them out because I just didn't really know what they were. So I learned in Master Gardeners, we're learning about intro to horticulture and all that kind of stuff, and how different plants will die back at different times, and, you know, and all this kind of stuff. And one of the ones that they used as an example of a unique one is the naked lady amaryllis. And the reason why is because all the foliage dies back in the summer. However, that's when the bloom stalk will come up, and you'll see the naked bloom stalk come up. That will die back, and then in the winter time, that's when all the foliage will come up. So all of these plants, these strappy plants right here, these are my naked lady amaryllis. And there's foliage in the winter, and then there's blooms in the summer, which I just find so incredibly interesting. And now I want more of them. And so my plan is I'm gonna, once I find some more bulbs, I'm gonna plant them all over, because they obviously thrive here. They do so well. I feel bad that I pulled a whole bunch of them out. But I just thought that that was so neat. So Naked Lady Amaryllis, love it. And then coming back this way, you can see I have some bearded iris that's coming up. I have my Oklahoma redbud. I'm planted all around my redbud. This month I did over here, I did some tulips. And then right here, I did some ranunculus. And the ranunculus are coming up beautifully. I'm so excited for those guys. Those guys are coming up very soon. I don't see any tulips at this point. It might be a little bit too early, but I will definitely be watching it. And then I did clean up this area in my garden cleanup. I cut back my Miscanthus cabaret. I cut back my flowering maple. And then I didn't cut back my, what is this called? Clematis armandii. This one, so we painted the fence this past summer, and this was beautiful. It was growing along the fence. It was so gorgeous. And we had to take the whole thing off. And then it was really hard to get it back up and make it look nice while it was back up. So it's kind of a mess right now. We have lots of buds, you know, it's gonna bloom. It blooms very, very early and it smells incredible. It is so incredible. I love it, but it's just a mess. Let me show you guys in the gate. And there's the rest of it over here. So I think that after it blooms, I'm gonna cut it way back and then I'm gonna start training it again. Now that the fence is all painted and we're not gonna have to take it down again. I am so proud of this plant because I grew this plant from a cutting from my neighbor down the street. He gave me like the tiniest 6-inch cutting and this plant grew from that, which I'm just proud of myself. You know, it's one of those plants that I really nurtured and I took care of. I didn't just buy a 5-gallon or a 15-gallon pot of this. I really grew this one. So this one is definitely staying here. I'm going to take care of it. I want to kind of train it all the way up this whole spot. I want this whole spot to be this clematis and it's happy. It's really happy here. So that's good. All right. Then coming into what I call my gated garden bed. Doesn't look great right now. I do have to cut back my hydrangeas. I got to get going on that for sure. I planted, I didn't do a video of this. I did do a reel on Instagram, but I planted 100 double pink mix tulips in this whole garden bed. So I hope they come up because you can see it's still morning, but you can see it is pretty shaded during the winter time. This is the north side of my house. And so since the sun is so low, it doesn't get a ton of sun. But I think there should be enough for the tulips to come out. Here, these mess right here, these are annual vinca. And annual vinca usually comes back for us here in zone 9B. And I've had a lot of you message me and tell me, like, leave that vinca in, it will come back. I don't know. Faith in planting, I guess, because all these guys look so dead to me. It looks, we might have just had, I don't know, that's green there. So how you tell a plant is still alive is you scratch the cambium layer, you scratch the outer layer of the stem, and if it's green under there, then the plant's still alive. See, that one's brown though. Yeah, I don't know. It might have just been too cold and too wet for these guys this year. I'm still going to leave them in because I have nothing else to plant at this time. So yeah, I haven't totally decided what I'm going to do with the annual vinca I have right there. And then you can see my Helen von Stein lambs here. I haven't come back and I haven't cleaned these up yet. I'll show you guys over there. I did clean all of them up. It's probably one of my least favorite garden cleanup jobs is to clean up the Helen von Stein lambs here because it's like mush. It's like mush in your hand. It's so gross. I love this plant. It's one of my favorite plants, but when it gets wet, it just turns to mush. It just likes drier conditions. So because we've been so wet this past month, the whole thing is it's just gross. Can you see that? It's just nasty. All right, and then over here by my Wichita Blue Juniper, last year I planted some hyacinth here, and they're coming back, beautifully. So that was a wonderful surprise because I haven't planted anything in them in here. You could see one there. Yeah, so they look really good. I'm really excited about them. This is a hosta that I'm just reminding myself that this, so you can see the hosta is herbaceous. It totally dies back during the winter, and so I'm just trying to remind myself not to throw this pot away. So I'm going to plant the hosta here eventually. I just haven't gotten around to it. But you can see, look at how good they look. I'm so excited for the hyacinths to come. Over here is my winter window box that is not doing well at all. So my white clematis down here, they're doing okay. The cyclamen. The cyclamen in here have all died. And I'm pretty sure that the reason why they've all died or they're all suffering is because they haven't gotten any water and they didn't really think about it. So because it was raining so much, I turned off all my irrigation, of course. And that means that this wasn't getting any irrigation and it also wasn't getting any rain. So I think that they all just really need, like you can see, look at this creeping Jenny. It just needs water. So I've come out here a couple times to water it, but I just haven't been on top of it, but I'm not worried about it. I'll just do another one. I'll wait. Honestly, I'm just going to wait till spring, a little bit closer to spring, and do a spring window box. So excited about that. And then we finally did clean out these pots. These pots had fall stuff left over from them, and there was actually a pumpkin in there that was completely moldy and disgusting. So Jason cleaned those out for me, and I thanked him profusely for doing that. All right, and then coming over here, it's just mostly cleanup that I've done in this past month. I still haven't cut back my hibiscus. You usually want to cut that back in February if you're around where I am. Here you can see I have some African daisies starting to show up. These are the Bright Lights Osteospermum from Proven Winners. And then mostly, it's just mostly cutting things back and cleaning things up. I did plant a whole bunch of foxglove this year. So these are last year's right here. These are the new ones. I usually don't rely on these guys to reseed itself just because I have so much mulch here. I don't think it can reseed itself, but these are all CAMELOT mix foxgloves, and those bloom first year. So usually foxgloves are biennial and they won't bloom until the second year, but because I use this variety, I can depend on them blooming this year. So this little seedling right here, this will bloom probably around May, which is not normal for a foxglove, but that's why I specifically choose that variety. You can see here's some older ones from last year, but they're looking really, really good. Happy about that. And then right here, I have some more these are anemones, I think. Yeah, these are anemones. They're coming up really well, doing beautifully. I did clean up my Shasta daisies. That looks so much better. So much better. And then you can see right here, this is my HELEN von Stein that I actually have cleaned up. So I've just gone through, I just stick my gloved hand in and I grab a bunch of the muck and then pull it out. And so last year when I cleaned these out, I cut them way, way, way back. And it was nice because it regenerated them and it kind of refreshed them, but it also stunted their growth. And they didn't start growing until a little bit later in the season. So this year I wanted them to grow earlier. So I didn't clean them up as much as I did last year. I hope that makes sense. I just have to say, it is a gorgeous January day. It is so beautiful. The sun is shining. It's dry. It's just a gorgeous day. I'm so happy right now to be outside. Okay, and then here is my front swoop. I am really liking how it's looking. So this year I put in Snow Princess Lobularia. Normally every fall I put in daffodils here, and I love it. It's so beautiful. I'm so happy with it. This year I got I always forget the name of the mix. It's a spring bloom mix, and basically what it is, it's a mix from color blends, and the idea is that it blooms a longer period of time. There's a bunch of different varieties of daffodils in here, and some of them are early bloomers, some of them are mid-season bloomers, and some of them are late bloomers. And you can see they're coming up. They're there, and there's different different leaf structures you can see. Let me see if I can find. So here's some with very fine strappy leaves right there. So that's one variety. And then these back here have big, thick leaves. So you can see there are a whole bunch of different varieties that are going to be coming up. I don't know which ones are going to bloom first, but I'm really excited about them. And then I'm really excited about the Snow Princess Lobularia, because as that grows, it's going to kind of fill in, and then hopefully the daffodils will come through the white of the Snow Princess Lobularia. So last year I put purple pansies in between the daffodils. It was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. But I wanted to try the white this year. I thought that that would be really pretty as well. And so far I'm really happy with it because it's been raining nonstop and it's only been dry for like a week and a half. And these guys have, I want to say, like doubled in size since it got dry and they actually got a chance to start growing. I have not fertilized them. I think I will fertilize them. Actually, I think I probably will fertilize them this week, just a little bit, maybe with some diluted fertilizer, and just to see how they like it. But yeah, so I'm really excited about these. So Snow Princess Lobularia, it is a perennial for us here in Zone 9B. It will last. It does so well in the cool season, the winter, late fall, early spring. It does suffer during the summer. You know, it is a heat tolerant Sweet Alyssum / Lobularia. It's a hybrid. It is a heat tolerant variety, but it still can't handle the heat that we have here. It didn't die though, but it definitely doesn't bloom. But you can see it's definitely blooming now, which is very exciting. Okay, and then here's my crepe myrtle garden bed. It's looking okay. It's looking okay. I think I just need to redo this lamium. I have to, it's almost like it was too wet and there was too many there was too much leaf mulch on it. I think I might come in and redo it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I do have a ton of tulips planted all around here. So those should be coming up pretty soon. But the funny thing is that I planted tulips here last year. This is a last year's tulip, which is so funny. So normally tulips don't come up for us here in Zone 9B because we don't get cold enough. We can't depend on them naturalizing. I don't even know if that one is going to bloom just because it might have not gotten cold enough. But this is the last year's tulip right here. So they are coming. I planted a ton of them and you can see there's 2 that's coming up, but it's still kind of cool to see them coming up. Also over here, I didn't plant anything here. So can you guys see these? 1, 2, here's what looks like a ranunculus or something. Here, that looks like a tulip. That looks like a daffodil. That looks like a tulip. I don't remember. I think I planted some replete daffodils here. I don't know. This is all going to be a surprise. I'm really excited about it. Same with over there. So I'll be really interested to see everything that comes up. I really should go back in my garden tours and see exactly what I planted. I don't remember, but every day I come out and I see something else popping up and it's like, oh, what did I plant there? I have no idea. I don't remember. All right. And then finally, the best thing about my front garden this month are these tiered raised beds that Jason and I installed this month. You guys, I am so in love with these. You know when you do something in your garden and then every time you drive up and you park, you look at it and you say, oh, I'm so happy. I'm so proud of myself. That is how I feel about these tiered garden beds. I'm just so excited about it. This is my cut flower garden. I plant all cut flowers here and it used to just be kind of a mound of soil. And so I had planned to put these tiered garden beds here. I'm sorry you can't see it very well. I had planned to put these tiered garden beds here just to give it a little bit more structure and to hold the excess amount of soil that I had in the garden bed. I thought that these garden beds were going to be like half full from the amount of soil I had. But you can see how much soil I had. All these garden beds are totally, absolutely full. I'm sure it will compact down as time goes on. But yeah, it's just crazy what a mound of soil I had in here. So we used 2x6s. These on this side are 8 foot long. These across the way are 10 feet long. We used form stakes right here. These are stakes that have holes in them. They're normally used for when they pour concrete and they do 2x4s to make a form. So that's what they use. So we just used that to hold up all the raised garden beds. So it was actually an easier project than it sounds, right? It sounds crazy to make tiered raised garden beds in your garden, but it only took one day and it was pretty easy to plan out. It wasn't cheap because I did invest in redwood because redwood lasts longer. You know, you usually want to, what is it? Redwood or cedar is what you want to use for raised garden beds. So I spent extra money to get redwood. I think each board was like $18 or something like that from Lowe's. But I think it's worth it. I'm so happy with it. And I have this whole spot right here is full, chock full of bulbs right now. I have daffodil bulbs, I have tulip bulbs, and I have more tulip bulbs. And then down here, I have a bunch of anemones and a bunch of ranunculus that are all stretched because they had been sitting in my garage for way too long, but I think that they're going to do okay. Like, look, I have that one right there. That's going to grow into a good one. So yeah, so I'm just so excited to have things planted, have things in the ground. They can start growing. They have plenty of moisture. Now they're just starting to get some sun. I amended this whole bed with compost and then also gypsum because I have this is kind of clay soil and it had way too much magnesium. So I had a soil test done, and my neighbor, who's an agronomist, he came and he gave me recommendations for what to put in. I also put in, what was it? Something nitrate, basically pure nitrogen. So because it was nitrogen depleted. So this soil is like the healthiest soil you could possibly have for all of these plants. So I'm really excited for my cut flower garden this year. I think it's going to do really, really well. So you can see, even though it was raining for about half of this month, I'm still really proud of us. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of my husband for helping me. I feel like we got a lot of stuff done. And that's why I love doing these garden tours, because it makes me come out here and it makes me go through every part of my garden and I can say, I did that and I did that and we did that, you know, and it's just so nice to see. So I am getting really, really excited about this gardening season. It's almost here. Our last frost date is February 28th. We had frost this morning and we have, very cold weather for the next couple days, but I am totally okay with it because it's going to be dry and these plants are going to get a chance to dry out and then really start, you know, be able to start thriving and growing. And so I couldn't be happier today. It's a gorgeous day. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to garden with my girls later today. It's a great day. So I hope you all are having a really good day as well. I hope you enjoyed this January front garden tour. Stay tuned for my back garden tour, which will be coming up in a couple days. I think I have my Master Gardeners recap before my back garden tour. So life is good. I hope you all have a great day and I hope you all have a chance to get into your garden today.